Hi everyone, it's Neve here and welcome to my art journey channel. Today we're going to be doing some mark making backgrounds and using ScrapFX products. So I'm starting my Dina Wakley journal and I'm just going to gesso the paper in here. Now to do this technique it does work best if you do gesso because we're going to be doing some mark making within layers of paint. So having the surface primed beforehand is a really good idea. Once that layer is dry, then I'm going to add some black gesso as well. If you didn't have black gesso, you could use black paint, that's okay. It seems a bit funny putting the black gesso on first, but we're going to cover over it, and it is going to add a bold pop of colour or drama to the finished piece. So quite often when you're working you tend to add the black at the end, but sometimes adding it first is a really good idea. So you can see here I'm starting off with a rather light colour paint and brushing it over the black. Now I actually left this a little bit too long. I'm going to scribe into the paint and do a sgraffito technique, but you can see my paint, because I put it on so lightly, has actually dried, but you can still see some mark making within those layers. I'm just building up the layers of colour as well, and I'm starting off with analogous colours, so colours that blend together, sit next to each other on the colour wheel. So this is a light blue, a sky blue and a turquoise, and I'm also using some white to blend the colours together. So for this background basically what I'm doing is creating little patches of colour and blending them all together using some white. Once the first layer is dry of the blue colours, now I'm going in with some contrasting colours. You can see now that I've got the pink on, I can actually scribe back into that paint. You can see the black coming through, so it does help if you've got your paint on slightly thicker to do that. And the first layer I did it, I put my paint on too thin. Again with the original layers, I'm doing exactly the same. I'm just using a different set of analogous colours. I'm using the pinks, purples on the warm side of the colour wheel and sort of just creating these patches across. Now it looks a bit odd, it looks a bit silly, that's okay. We're going to add more stuff over it. This is just a background. It doesn't need to look finished. It does look quite pretty. I quite like it the way it is, and the rest of the stuff that I'm doing to this page, you can stop at any stage. You could have a beautiful abstract painting with just a little bit of mark making, or you could go and do all the steps that I'm doing. So the first step is adding some mark making with my paint. I'm just going in with my white paint. You'll see that I'm actually extending the marks further into different colors than just in the little patch of black, for example. So if I just stayed within the black area, that would look very contained and very neat. By flowing it out in over the entire page, it actually extends the image and it makes it look deliberate instead of, oops, I accidentally went out over the edge. So now I'm going in with some ScrapFX stamps. These are the foam stamps. They're quite handy because they retain a lot of ink, so you can actually get a few stampings from them, and using archival inks. So archival inks in the same colour, sort of same colours that I've got used in the background. Archival inks are also a permanent ink, so if I do any layering over the top of this, they're not going to move or be smudged with dye because they're already permanent when they're stamped out. I'm going back in with my blue again and stamping around the outside of the circles just to make them a little bit more of a focal point over the piece. So again, you can sort of stop at this stage with whatever you want to do. It is quite good if you are doing your stamped layers to go back and add a little bit of black in again, so that just helps to balance up the piece. You've got that piece of black in the background, but having some of the black stamping as well just helps to bring it all together. Finally, I'm just putting in some stenciling, so just using mask stencil and just using little bits of it just to add a different texture and colour over the top. I'm choosing to use lime green just to act as a bit of focal point and contrast, and doing it over the blue and the pink so it stands out. So again, I'm not using very much, but just enough to put a little bit of interest onto the page. So once my background is finished, I'm then going to add some focal points to it. And these are the fabulous dolls from Michelle Logan. She originally did some that are in A4 sheet, and these are little mini ones, which I really love because you can get quite a lot onto your page and make them look really cool. So I've got this little gang of wonderful, weird peeps on my page. When you're gluing them down, you saw I sort of had to play around with how I wanted to sit them down. You do need to kind of work out which order you need to glue the pieces down in. So you can sort of see I'm gluing it down, but I'm not really pressing it down until I've made sure that I've got every image where I actually want it to be. So these are printed on coloured card. So they're quite lightweight card, but they're quite sturdy as well. Like, you can give them a bit of abuse if you would like. And the printing is permanent, so if I wanted to put paint or something over the top, it's not going to rub or move. One of the things I do like to do is to go around with my Stabilo All pencil to add some shadowing. So obviously these figures are sort of sitting one in front of the other. They're going to cast shadows. And you can see already by just putting that little inky line around the outside, it pops those images out from the background. The Stabilo All pencil is a water reactive pencil. It is very black and it works really well. The final thing I'm going to do is something that Michelle Logan herself loves to do, and is to put in extra pen work over the top. Now the great thing is, because this is her artwork, she's already got the pen work there, and you can just go over with a contrasting colour to add some detail. So I quite like going over with a white pen, and obviously some other colours as well, but usually with a white pen and adding in some little strokes and lines just to make it look a little bit more interesting overall. And it gives a sort of hand-drawn quality to the piece that you're working on. Once I finish that, I'm going to glue down my sentiment, which again comes with the sheet of little people. And it's I'm exactly where I should be, which I really like with that bunch of people. So here is a pretty quick and simple art journal page using the wonderful funky folk from Michelle Logan. I'm trying to remember her name. I'm so sorry, Michelle. I'm having a mental blank. And some of the new stamps and products from Scrap FX as well. So in my description box below, you will find the links to Scrap FX, to both the retail and the wholesale shop, if you're interested in buying some of those products for yourself. Thank you so much for watching. Please think about subscribing to the channel to see lots more ideas using the Scrap FX products. Until next time, bye for now.